Good afternoon, everyone. You're all very welcome to our latest interview here in the Alpha Capital Group Trader Interview Series. Today, we've got Belal. So obviously, very, very welcome, Belal, one of our funded traders. Very, very welcome to obviously the call today. And we're obviously delighted to have you on board. A pleasure, as I said, to have you here today. Do you want to maybe introduce yourself to the audience and talk a bit about yourself?
Yeah, so my name is Belal Asgar. I'm 19 years old. I'm from United Kingdom. I've been trading for just under 2 years now. And I'm funded 250K with Alpha Capital Group right now.
Brilliant. And Belal, I know obviously you said you're trading there about 2 years. What got you into trading? Where did the allure of trading come from? Where did it start?
All right, so my best friend, who's now my mentor, used to post crypto screenshots on his Snapchat stories. And he kept doing that, and I started getting interested. So I started messaging him, like, what's this about? Blah, blah, blah. He introduced me to another friend, and then we all started kind of getting into Forex trading. And we all started getting mentorships, courses, all that type of stuff, passing phase ones, blowing them, passing phase twos, blowing them as well, and then getting funded if we're lucky and then blowing that as well. We never really got a payout until July of this year. My car went in for a recall, and I got given a 2023 BMW 1 Series M Sport, and I picked him up in that car, and I said, I just like played a little joke with him. I said, I passed a 100K account, made 25% on that account, and I think he got a bit motivated. It was only a joke. I was only going to do it for like a week. He got a bit motivated, and then he spent the next week staying up all night trying to find a model, backtest, and all that type of stuff, because I think he was really motivated.
Yeah.
And then a month later, it was my birthday, and he passed his funded account. And before that, I kept asking him, like, what do you trade? How do you trade? Blah, blah. He never told me, so I'm not going to tell you. And then on my birthday, he told me. And then I spent the next week with him backtesting that model. Okay. And then we started getting stats, win rates, all that type of stuff. And we found out it was a good model.
Yeah.
And then I made a little goal for myself. I'm going to buy a new account and start every month. So I bought 250Ks, one with Alpha Capital and one with another firm. I passed that. I got given a 200K account as well. And that's the one that I passed just recently. So over the period of like 4 months, from August to about now, I've literally passed all the accounts. Every month's been profitable. So yeah, it's all pretty much because of him. Yeah.
Lovely. Okay. And in terms of the nuances, so was it the allure, like in terms of becoming a trader, was it lifestyle driven? Was it freedom? What was the kind of the idea that kind of wanted you to become a trader?
The lifestyle was good. We all know that. I don't enjoy working for other people either. I like being flexible. It's not really flexible because I still have to wake up at certain times, but
okay.
I wake up, I get out of my bed, and I go to my desk. I go get out, get changed, drive in the cold weather, all that type of stuff.
Yeah.
Just get out, go to my desk. What I've got to do for about half an hour, 1 hour, and I leave. So yeah.
Fair enough. Okay. So a bit of both freedom, creating your own life, not being tied to a desk and working a 9 to 5. So obviously freedom is probably the main one there. Interesting. Okay. And in terms of the strategy, do you want to maybe bring up TradingView? Maybe just talk me through maybe that one of your recent trades, perhaps? Okay, brilliant. Yeah, we have it here. Yeah, we've got TradingView in the background. Yeah, Euro USD on a 5-minute chart.
Yeah, I only trade Euro USD. I only trade one pair. I trade London and New York. This trade was actually break even. However, this was the trade that passed my 200K phase two. So
brilliant.
This was literally last week. You can see, yeah, Friday, 10th of November, which was last week, I believe.
Yep.
So yeah, I entered here just down there, as you can see, and we made a wall. When we were back testing, we made a wall for break even. So when it hits a certain point, we put our stop loss to break even, which it hit that point around this area, and we put the stop loss to break even.
Okay.
I knew this trade would be a loss. No, I knew it would be a break even actually, because it literally came, filled this fair value gap perfectly.
Okay. Yeah.
And then dropped to break even.
Dropped to break
even. I mean, yeah.
Tag the break
Obviously,
stops perfectly, didn't it?
yeah, and then went to hit TP. We aim for 1 to 4 always. It's a mechanical model.
Okay.
Um, yeah, which is what I prefer, and I think that's the reason I've managed to pass all the accounts that I have. Whereas
Okay.
mechanical models, like, yeah, you got a checklist I need to do, and then I do it.
Okay. And can I ask you a
Yeah,
question if you don't mind? When you
yeah,
say there
sure.
the mechanical model, the risk reward 1 to 4, is that every trade, like is it a case of it's break even stop loss or a 4% win? Do you like, will you interpret or will you create a system for yourself? Let's say, for example, you're reviewing price action. It's maybe not reaching the target. It's maybe 3% floating profit, but you can see it visibly ending. Would you then create a system where you're actually closing that trade manually? Or do you still prefer to stick with the mechanical system and just work it diligently off of that?
I've got a rule. Um, I'd rather lose following my rules than win breaking my rules.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
I,
Yeah.
because I practice the model so much, I know the win rate and I know it's profitable. So all I have to do is just stick to my rules and consistently do them, and I know the long term results will show. If I
Okay.
if I start closing out, like let's say that's a 1 to 3 or whatever. Let's say I start closing here,
Yeah.
and then the next trade I start closing at 1 to 2 because it's in profit, and I just see profit and I want to close it. Then my win rate is going to get ruined,
Yeah.
and it's not going to be as accurate.
Fair enough.
So
Okay. Interesting. Interesting. And obviously, I can see that this chart here is a 5 minute chart. So, would you classify yourself as a short-term trader, short-term day trader? Do you ever hold positions overnight, or is it just solely between
uh,
that block of session that time?
sometimes they last overnight. Let's say I think yeah, let's just say this was a I didn't hit break even. Let's just say you can see it didn't hit TP,
Hmm.
and
Yeah.
it's gone through the whole night, and then in the morning or sorry, in the afternoon actually, it hits TP. So I've had that happen a few times, which is fine. So I don't trade more than 2 days. So literally 1 day is the most.
Okay. Right. And then obviously, then interpretation beyond that, then obviously reacting accordingly. Interesting, interesting. And obviously, you've mentioned their fair value gaps in brief. Would you? So you're obviously price action orientated, focusing on the price action, focusing on the dynamics within the markets, short term sentiment, looking at order flow, looking at that instantly. Do you then incorporate anything else beyond that? Would you look at fundamentals? Do you look at volume? Tools, or is it just solely just price action orientated primarily?
So um, from last year, the all the courses that I bought, all the mentorships, I know how price moves. I know it's run by an algorithm. It's not. Um, so yeah, I know all of that stuff, but to be honest, that doesn't really matter with my model. So um, with my model, I wouldn't usually like another person would really care that it would be like, oh, it just came up and it went down. I know they filled this fair value gap here perfectly and then retraced, but unfortunately hit my break even.
Yeah.
About the news thing, yeah, I don't trade NFP. I don't trade like the major news like FOMC, Jerome Powell,
API.
CPI. Yeah,
Okay.
no, yeah.
Interesting. Interesting. Okay. And in terms of the model, right? I know you're very strict and diligent in your model and your trading plan, having that mechanical process, having the checklist. Obviously, it's very, very, very important. In terms of the actual nuances of trading, how do you actually handle your emotions? Is it just by strict risk management? Is it reinforcement of rules? How would you kind of define or kind of handle your emotions on a day to day?
My psychology used to be so bad. Like I'd have a loss or two, and then I'd make up a whole new trade and like tell my brain it's a good trade and then lose it. Um, so I think it's really important to have a mentor, which is why I have a mentor. He's my best friend, but also my mentor. He's
Okay.
got a really good psychology, which is why I kind of look up to him. Um, I've had a few losses in a row. Uh, yeah, it's made me feel down. This doesn't feel good. But then, yeah, I've had like 6 losses in a row, and I felt really bad. I was like, oh, I told him, oh, this month's not looking good. It's going to be an unprofitable month. End of the month, we got 8% in one day. Next day, we made 3%. So in 2 days, we made 11%, but the whole month was like -1%, -2%.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it ended up profitable month. So I think just stick to it. If you've got the data and you've backtested it properly, like 1 year or 2 years off data, and you've got like a spreadsheet with every month, the win rate, everything, then you shouldn't have anything to worry about.
And I suppose with that, right, because I know you've mentioned there 8%, 3%, and then through the course of the month, obviously very kind of up and down. And I suppose that goes back to maybe consistency and everything associated to that. Within your strategy, would you trade once a day, twice a day? Is there a certain quantity of trades that you kind of limit yourself to try and keep that? Because I know obviously with a lot of traders, quantity is obviously a huge thing if you're trading lower time frames, but then you've got the argument that quality over quantity is incrementally more important.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, 100%. That's why I've got the news rule. The
Go
news
ahead.
rule kind of like staves out bad trades from good trades with this model for me.
Yeah,
So sometimes I go 2 weeks without trading and I see other people blowing their accounts or whatever, or I see other people winning. It doesn't get to me anymore.
yeah.
Before it would get to me, I'd be like, oh, I need to go trade now, blah, 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 but I don't get that anymore.
Okay, interesting. It's good to hear kind of the insights because, like, obviously migrating from funded failing accounts, overcoming that, becoming consistent now, and obviously taking withdrawals regularly out of the markets, which is obviously the number one goal.
Yeah.
It's hugely important, and obviously the risk management under kind of mines all of that. Do you have certain targets? Because obviously fortnightly payout splits. Do you have certain targets that you look for? Like, do you maybe have a goal of 2 to 3% per month, 5% a month, or do you just kind of take it as it comes? Right. So if you don't trade for 2 weeks, that's fine. How would you kind of define that?
So I've got a every month, as long as we get more than 5% or 5%, we call that a profitable month. Anything more is a bonus. When you get a live account, I don't think it would be a good idea to withdraw halfway through the month. Because let's say you get a few wins, let's say you get a few losses, like a win, whatever, you withdraw, and then the next 2 weeks, they're all like wins, and you just missed out so much for no reason. If you know what I mean? So I think I need to get into my head to trade until the end of the month and then think about withdrawing or something like that. Or
Interesting.
like have 2 months. Yeah.
Okay, so rather than taking the fortnightly splits, actually hold off, treat it like a salary, as if a lot of organizations operate, and then just say, well, these are my returns for the month on a broader scale. That's really fascinating because I suppose that's something that a lot of traders don't look at. They're just trying to take money out as quickly as they can, and then obviously try and go elsewhere with it, or do whatever they else with it.
That's why most traders fail, because they think the more they put in, the more they'll get out, but that's not how Forex works. A
Yeah,
normal job, yeah, like a sales job, whatever, the more sales you get, the more commission you get, but with Forex, it's not the same.
certainly. And in terms of the actual strategy, again, not going too in detail to it, because obviously there's certain bits and pieces that you don't want to share. Do you scale in? Do you add multiple positions? For, like, so let's say for this piece of analysis that you've looked at, you found out the opportunity there, that buying opportunity. Would you kind of scale in? Would you add multiple positions, or is it just kind of like, well, I'm going to take one position, whatever percentage risk or 0.5% risk, whatever it is, and leave it at that? Or do you say, well, I'm going to take one position or two positions or three positions and maybe break up the risk accordingly? How would you kind of define that?
I've made a little rule for myself. No, I don't scale in or whatever. I just enter. If it hits, it's either going to hit TP, break even, or stop loss. I've accepted that. I trade London and New York, so I trade twice a day, which is why I said 3% earlier. Because let's say you lose London, you win New York, that's 3%. What was the other question? Sorry.
Just in terms of the actual position, so you don't actually scale in, you just kind of one and done type of thing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Oh yeah, and I was gonna say, I've made a little thing. So phase one, I risk 1%, just to like speed it up, not too slow. Phase two, I risk 0.75%. On a live account, I risk 0.5%. So my drawdown is 10% usually, and if I'm risking 0.5, it's now 20% drawdown. So I find that a lot easier for myself.
Interesting. And as you progress, as you kind of progress from one right through the evaluation, you're actually risking less instead of risking more. You're actually risking.
Yeah, some people would risk more. Oh, I can get 5K in a day. I don't care.
Yeah,
I think about it long term.
yeah. I think being realistic, but also protecting the account. I think risk management, capital preservation, I think is the sole goal, really, isn't it?
Yeah.
For sure. Interesting. And in terms of then your day to day, do you journal positions? Do you like constantly review your data, review your metrics? Because like, of course, like the big obstacle for 90% of the retail trading market is they may have a plan, or in some cases or majority of cases, they don't have a plan. But then how often do we see where traders have a plan but deviate from it and then don't review data, don't review metrics? Within your strategy, because it's quite mechanical and there's a kind of a regimental routine, would you then back test or as you're live trading to review data, to review metrics, or do you just kind of look at it on a kind of more broader perspective?
So every day, I don't really journal like my emotions and stuff. I journal the actual trade. Let's say London. I write the dates. I write the dates out on my notes, and then I put either -1% London, +4% New York, which is 3% for the day, or whatever it is, or -1, -1, -2% for the day, or +8% for the day. So that's literally what I do. I write them all down, and I can go back and see like the result. I found that because of that, I found out that the most losses in a row I've had is 6. And the last time I've had 6 losses in a row, I kind of predicted, okay, the next trade might be a win. So I had my hopes up, and it was a win because of the data that I had that showed that the most I've had was 6 in a row. So it
Yeah.
helps as well with that.
And I think that underpins as well the argument that it's not just about the win rate, right? Because you see how often do we see traders with 80% win rates, 90% win rates and higher, and are still failing accounts, still blowing up. So I think the idea of risk mitigation, discipline, having that process right through from start to finish is incrementally why you've become a funded trader and obviously why you're being so successful. I think that's obviously hugely important. In terms of your data metrics, because obviously I see the Alpha Capital dashboard open. Would you be happy to take us through that as well?
Yeah, I just need to move the look.
Certainly. Brilliant.
Cool.
Brilliant.
Am I right to show my account numbers, or is that like?
No, that's perfect. Yeah, that's perfect. Yeah, that's perfect. Yeah. See, there's obviously the 200 count there. And I suppose really now it's just a case of building that, really constructing it. So in terms of obviously now middle of November heading to the end of the year, do you have any kind of goals, objectives in terms of scaling accounts, growing accounts? Like do you kind of have a plan in place for that?
Yeah.
Objective wise?
So since August, I've been consistently buying accounts at the start of every month. I bought an account, I think it was last month. It was 100K with Alpha Capital Group, and then I didn't know this, but there's a rule. When you exceed 300K max, it's not max allocation, but it's like 400K is max. But when you exceed 300K allocation,
For strategy.
yeah, you have to trade on a different pair, but you can trade the same strategy. But it didn't really work for me, so I just purposely blew that account. It was on phase 2. I would have passed it by now, but so yeah, I'm just gonna November, December, January, quite slow months for me, and February as well, I think. So I think I'm just gonna take it easy, lower my risk, and not buy any more accounts. And maybe December I'll buy an account just to play around with. But then March I'll be properly back in.
Interesting.
So by the end of this year, I'm just trying to like get small payouts, like consistency as well, or whatever happens.
And I suppose the argument there is you can still scale your additional capital. So let's say you have a great month and you've got 250K or 300K capital, and you happen to have a really good month, you hit your 10% target. Of course, you can still scale as well. So you have that option as well, I guess, which is important.
Yeah.
Brilliant. And in terms of, I know obviously we've talked about the process, the strategy, the discipline, how that's obviously so important, and obviously the risk management as well. Excuse me. How would you define, I think if you're going to, let's say, speak to someone new coming into the markets, or even yourself self-reflecting and passing words of wisdom back to yourself as a new trader, let's say 2 years ago, what would be kind of the main elements to focus on if you were a new trader coming into the markets?
If I was new, if I was to tell someone new, I'll tell them to get a job so they don't rely on Forex completely. Find themselves a mentor. Get their model, backtest it, gather data, get a spreadsheet, know every month's win rate, maybe even refine it, make it better yourself. And then, yeah, if you want, I would say forward test it for 3 months. Maybe not on a demo. Some people say demo. I'd say just get like a 10K account and treat it properly. Follow your rules. Forward test that for 3 months. If you find yourself passing and getting funded, then cool, you can get a 100K account now. See what goes from there. And then and also with that job, you won't really be like revenge trading or anything, or constantly looking at the charts because you're like low on money. So yeah, I think that's important.
And I think as well, the big element when people are on the charts 12 hours a day or 14 hours a day,
Yeah,
there's a lot of over trading, really, isn't there? And then trading for the sake of it without kind of matching or mirroring the strategy. And then, of course, 4 or 5 losses of revenge trading kicks in, and then the whole strategy is completely thrown out the window. So I think that's obviously an important element with that. Hugely important points, I guess. And in terms of background, what do you think are the important qualities that a trader needs to have in order to be successful?
You need good psychology and good discipline 100%. So you can't let losses get to you. You can't put expectations on the trades. You can't say, oh, this is going to be a winner. I'm going to double my risk or whatever. You can't just trade like a robot. That's how I see it. I need to trade like a robot, which is why I think it's important to have a mentor to like put you in your place and hold you accountable. But yeah, that's pretty much it.
Interesting. Wise words. I was kind of curious to see what you come out with, obviously, given everything we've kind of talked about. And in terms of your journey, right? I know obviously from starting out, failing, obviously, evaluations, phase 2, becoming funded, to where you are now. What are the most enjoyable things you like about being a trader? That has obviously become funded.
It feels nice when you trade, when you just trade. I trade about, in total, most of our trade is 4 hours a day. Let's say I do 2 hours in London, 2 hours in New York. Usually it'll be about half an hour London, half an hour New York. I'm getting out of my bed, I'm not getting changed, I'm just going straight to my desk, seeing what I need to see, and then I enter, leave the trade, get about my day. I have my alerts at TP and break even. When it hits break even, just put my stops to break even, and then later on to TP or hit break even, and then the same for New York. Yeah.
Okay. And can I ask you a question? A kind of a side to it now that you kind of the conversation's flowing. Do you operate off of market execution, or do you trade off of limit orders? So let's say, for example, if we use the example, a trade isn't activated in the London session, but maybe it's activated later on in the morning or in the afternoon. Would you then use limit orders, or do you use price alerts and then do market execution orders? How do you generally flow in terms of the actual physical execution?
So I'd say about 90% of my trades are buy limits, sell limits, and about 10% executions.
Sorry,
but I
Belal,
find when I do buy limits and sell limits,
apologies, my friend, you just broke up there. So 90% is limit orders and 10% is execution. Is that what you've said?
Yeah, 90% limit orders, about 10% market executions. Yeah.
Okay, brilliant. Okay, fantastic. So you will just, I suppose, if you're out and about, you'll still obviously trust the process, you'll still trust the plan, even though you're not necessarily at your screen at the time when the trades have obviously triggered. Interesting.
Yeah, okay. And I find it really important. Another thing is to, not a lot of people do this, but since I've started doing it, I've seen clearly success from it. You have to treat trading like a business. I used to just be out and about, whatever, going on my phone, entering a trade for no reason or whatever, or trading when I'm outside. But I think you need to trade in a controlled environment and treat it like a business. And yeah, I just found success from that. So maybe other people will find it as well.
Interesting. And in terms of then moving forward, because I know we're hitting the end of 2023, new trading year coming up now, just in the next number of weeks. Do you set like goals and objectives for yourself over 12 months, 18 months, let's say 2-year plans, 3-year plans, 5-year plans? I know a lot of people do. I know a lot of people don't. Life can throw some fairly wicked curveballs at people, and then you obviously have to try and react to that accordingly. Do you have, let's say, trading objectives? Do you have trading goals to set up for the future?
Yeah, so I've got 2 goals for next year that I just want to achieve. They're a bit ambitious. So next year I want to hit 7 figures in funding, so 1 million in funding plus. Okay. And I want to get an audio rate next year as well.
Interesting. Okay. So ambitious plans, but if you stay true to them, with obviously the development you've had over the last 6 months, I suppose with trading, anything is achievable. But obviously, best of luck with your goal to 7 figures. Obviously, 7 figures isn't an easy ask for any individual. So obviously, best of luck with that. We'd love to have you on again. Because obviously I know you're UK based. It would be great to have you on again in the future.
Yeah,
Um,
definitely.
for sure to see how you're progressing. Maybe the back end of next year, we can do another call and see how you're
100%.
progressing with us. For sure, for
Yeah,
sure.
we'll
Well, but
come back to this video and say, yeah, got an R8 now.
certainly, certainly. Well, Bilal, it's a pleasure to have you on board today. It's been a really good call. A lot of useful and brilliant nuggets of information for the audience at home, as
Yeah,
well. So obviously, best of luck for the rest of the year, 2023. Best of
appreciate
luck with your funded accounts. And of
it.
course, best of luck for 2024 as well in your goals and objectives and beyond, my friend.
Yeah, appreciate it. And one more thing, I really like the customer service on your platform as well. Literally all the time, any problems, you'll always sort me out within like 5 minutes. Alex, whoever it is, they always sort me out quickly. So yeah, appreciate that because I know it's not easy. Get a lot of messages every day. Oh, blew my account, can I get a free one, whatever. So yeah, appreciate it.
Brilliant. It's brilliant. Well, thank you very much, my friend. Obviously, as I said, very best of luck, and it's been great having you on today. And of
No
course,
worries.
we'll get this live very, very, very soon as well. Thanks a
Yeah,
million,
no
Bilal.
worries.
Cheers.
Thank
Thank you.
you. Bye bye.